The first Fallout Worlds update is now live with Invaders from Beyond DLC, featuring over a dozen of changes. Let me guide you through it. Hello everyone, welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. Fallout Worlds received its first update on March 1 with the Invaders from Beyond DLC, as you surely know by now. But what changed exactly? Well, a few things, but mostly this update came to introduce new settings, which allows players to create even more challenging and realistic servers. However, and despite this point being part of the 2022 roadmap, the changes are not very significant. Anyway, in this patch overview, I'm going to test and show you 12 key features for Fallout Worlds, as well as a few fixes, just so you don't have to. Alright then, let's get started! The main highlight of this update is definitely the introduction of some progression to Fallout Worlds. With Update 33, any daily or weekly challenges you complete on public or custom worlds will now carry over to the standard adventure and private modes. Now, this change is not much, but it's definitely a step into the right direction in terms of progression. It gives players a bit more incentive to play there and explore this game mode. In fact, this could even mean that Bethesda plans to add further progression in the future, but if so, I hope they do it carefully, because Fallout Worlds defy the most essential rules of 76, and it removes value to gameplay. For instance, if you can craft everything for free or kill all enemies in one hit, then it's extremely unfair that results from such options can carry over to the normal servers. Anyway, I tested this challenge progression feature and I have a few things to unveil. First of all, the system is working relatively fine. The earned score is indeed carrying over to adventure mode. It works wonders with event and enemy kill challenges, that's for sure. However, not all challenges seem to be working in Fallout Worlds. I discovered that building challenges like this weekly one is bugged and cannot be done. I tried with and without the free building setting. I even restarted my game and nothing. Building the requested items never counted or registered. Now, this is extremely strange because similar challenges like this one to plant crops, which involves placing or building items, it's working fine, even in free building mode. So yeah, you can now complete most building challenges without a cost with custom worlds. A great example of this is also food challenges. I crafted meat foods here without any ingredients on me, then ate them and voila, it worked like a charm. So yeah, this progression feature is not exactly balanced. It sort of leaves a bitter feeling on me. But then again, it's not too unbalanced. We are talking about a few buildable or craftable items, and that's pretty much it. I just hope Bethesda doesn't stretch the line too much, or I'm not sure players will be too happy about it. The second point is about a major fix for all Fallout Worlds. Until Update 32, the character slot import system was working in a very questionable way. The max slots should be 5 for everyone, but that's not what some players were experiencing. I saw several reports on how the character limit for them was only 4 or even 3 slots. That's a huge cut, and as obvious, this could affect or impact players' gameplay. But now Bethesda seems to have tackled down the issue. The community manager Volseek even confirmed the team was aware of the problem and was working on a fix, which should be live now with Update 33. Fallout Worlds now allow players to choose what perk effects work on their servers. Bethesda added a new setting called Perk Effects, literally, under General, with 4 options to choose from: Default, Standard Perks only, Legendary Perks only, and All Perks disabled. I think this addition is as straightforward as it can get. Basically, players can now decide if they want perks to work the normal way, as always, or 1, only normal perks will work, 2, only legendary perks will work, or 3, no perks at all work, which nullifies all perks as to be expected. Anyway, I tested all these settings and they are working as the descriptions say. It's actually very noticeable when a group of perks stop working. You can see it in your inventory space, your damage, your defense, even your ability to keep mutations in place. I think this group of settings is another great decision from Bethesda's part, especially when it comes to PvP. It makes PvP a bit more balanced, or for example to test flat damage numbers without the influence of any perks. Of course, there are many other benefits from this setting, but I think these two are at the top of the list. One of the most impactful new settings added to Fallout Worlds is the carry weight bars. Now, at first glance, this new setting might look straightforward to you, but the way it works might leave you with questions, which hopefully I can answer here. Let's begin with the first bar, the carry weight multiplier, which has a series of predefined settings to choose from, such as 0, very high, or nuclear. The details appear at the bottom center of your screen, so this one is not hard to grasp. I tested it a few times and it increases or decreases your carry weight accordingly. It's actually a weird feeling to play in nuclear mode with 999 carry weight. It's basically like you are a mobile stash box, but it's equally weird, if not worse, to go around with no inventory space at all. None. Zero. Nada. But hey, Bethesda is giving players the freedom to choose what rules they want for their worlds. I can think of a few scenarios where these settings could be useful, such as a realistic playthrough, where you can only bring a few weapons and items with you into your fights and adventures. Anyway, the second bar can be a source of confusion, first because it seems to be a sub-setting of the first one. I discovered that changing the first bar will define your carry weight and ignore any settings you choose for the second bar. It's like they have a primary and secondary status here. The second bar only works if your first bar is set to default, so remember that. Here's some proof. I changed my first bar to 0 weight and the second bar to 200 weight. Then in game, my inventory was, ta-da, 0, totally ignoring the chosen setting in the second bar. Anyway, if you want to make use of the second bar, you just have to change one of the fixed options. Let's say you would like to have a 600, choose it, and that's it. In game, you will have the chosen number. Also keep in mind that the max carry weight you can have is fixed on 999, so maxing both bars to try and make it stack won't work at all. I tried it just to exemplify and nope, it doesn't work. Well, at least now players can have some fun regarding how much or how little they can carry around. The VATS system makes Fallout games so much easier when it comes to combat. After all, it's like an integrated auto-aim system, but now players can choose to disable it in their custom worlds. The new setting can be found under combat, and there are 3 options to choose from: on, off, and off against other players. The on setting is pretty much the default option. VATS works as it always has. Then the off option disables VATS completely. You simply cannot access it anymore. All combat becomes manual now. Lastly, for the off versus players, VATS only becomes inaccessible in PvP mode when fighting other players. Just like previous new settings, I tested it one by one and I found no issues really. When disabled VATS was completely suppressed, I kept spamming my VATS button, but nope, it never came to life again. It obeys the rule to stay in the shadow, even in PvP mode, as it should be, of course. This next change is huge for the building system. After all, players can now build with way less restrictions in Fallout Worlds. Yes, even less than before. Even the public world Happy Builder is now using this feature, which increases building freedom. Anyway, the Fallout World setting remains unchanged, but to access the new in-game settings, you need to turn on the relaxed building restrictions. Then once in-game, go into building mode and you can find 2 new options under the toggle snapping tab, as shown in the footage. Until update 32, players only had the toggle on and off. Now with update 33, things are different. There are 2 more options there, the collide and the free mode. What's the difference though? Well, let me explain. For snapping, it remains the same. When on, it ensures snapping items like walls, floors, roofs, and so on will auto-snap to one another automatically. Now for the collide option, it's basically a feature that allows players to place items pretty much anywhere they want, as long as it doesn't collide with other items, therefore the name. Finally, for the free setting, this option ignores colliding or intersecting rules, which allows players to place items inside one another or crossing paths in any way. To test this setting in depth, I decided to add an aquarium to my dryer machine here, sinking in the bottom of the item. It turned out really realistic, don't you think? Then for my wash machine, I decided to add a back frame using the standard mirror. This option unlocks a whole new world of possibilities for building, and it basically nullifies the need to glitch, which is a great thing. It's not like players, or at least some of them, don't already do this, intersecting items in adventure and private, for example using the flamer or the metal plate exploits. It's just in adventure and private modes it's much more difficult to do this. So I hope one day they will carry on this feature into all modes, because it already exists. It's something people do in all modes, it's harder, and it forces people to use exploits to access something which is already there in another mode. I hope that makes sense to you. Anyway, let's keep moving. Bethesda fixed a very old bug affecting foundations and the item placement on them. Sometimes the item would snap inside or end up glued to a side of the foundation when all you wanted was to place it on top of it. But with update 33, that problem seems to be gone, well, at least according to Bethesda's patch notes. I found this clip in my old footage, which I believe it's the issue described, but if not, it should be something similar, judging by the description. Now, I cannot confirm this one is fixed, since the bug strikes at random, but let's assume it is, and that's a great thing, because that's one less bug to worry about while building, and honestly, that's a blessing. Talking about bug fixes, there's another one that caught my eye, and it's about wire placement in worlds. Before update 33, their placement was really unstable when the collision option was off. In theory, you should be able to place wires through objects, but that was not always triggering, so now Bethesda claims to have fixed it. I did a quick test, and I was indeed able to place wires through my walls and other objects, which makes me believe the fix is accurate. Well, one thing is for sure, players no longer need to create complex or realistic wiring systems in order for them to work. Now they can just pass the wires through anything they want, and that's it. Nobody said it will look pretty, but at least now you can do it, at least in Fallout Worlds. There were a few other new settings implemented with Update 33, such as the Confetti effect for kills. If you go to combat, you can now find a new setting under the dismembered part. It's literally called Confetti, and it permanently enables one of the effects given by consuming lunchboxes. Yes, it's the exact same Confetti effect there. When this one is active, killing enemies will trigger this effect basically all the time. So if you choose to play with this on, your combat sessions will turn into bloody parties. Literally. It's a bit weird if you ask me, but I will not judge if you enjoy playing like that. We already do, kinda, when we have the effect in adventures, so it is what it is. Prossimo, next we have a new weather option, the Mothman Equinox. Bethesda basically imported the Mothman Equinox event weather and is now allowing players to enjoy it anytime they want at their custom worlds. However, I spotted a few issues with this one. First of all, this sort of pink-purple storm seems to be a reskin of the VATS storm, which causes some long-range irregularities. Just look at the horizon line here. It's like all the assets lost their textures. You can only see outline shapes in purple, and it's all quite blurry, as if the depth of field was on, but it's not as shown. Either way, it's a different weather and a unique one, so that's a fun addition too, I would say. Alright, for the last point, I selected a very concerning issue I came across several times during the latest public test. Now, I don't often use Fallout Worlds, especially in the live servers, but this time, while testing the new update, I was not always able to host my own custom world. The system would often get stuck on searching for world endlessly. Now, you might be thinking that this problem might be just me on my end, but nope, it's not. I spotted other players reporting the exact same issue, so it's definitely a global thing. It kinda gives me the sensation that Fallout World servers might have long hiccups, disruption of service, or they go into hidden maintenance. That could also be the case. At least it would explain why sometimes players cannot access or host their own custom worlds. Anyway, I just hope this problem won't intensify or become a common thing for the sake of everyone who often plays in Fallout worlds. This Fallout World update was rather extensive, featuring dozens of new settings, changes, and bug fixes. As obvious, there's a lot more than the 12 points covered here. However, the rest is basically minor changes to existing features. So I decided to leave them out, otherwise the video would be much longer. I covered the most important points, so I think it's okay. I think that's what you guys are interested on anyway. Also, Bethesda updated 2 of their public world layouts. For Happy Builder, as I said before, players can now enjoy the collide and free building settings under relaxed building, and for the high risk, Bethesda disabled all perk effects as well as VATS to make the environment more challenging and risky. Overall, this update didn't change what Fallout worlds are at its core. They are still dev tools or test worlds, as I often call them. In the end, Bethesda just expanded the variety of settings a little bit and added a small sense of progression too. But what do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Finally, if you would like to learn more about the new update, feel free to check my essential guide featuring the 15 key features of Update 33. Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'm Marta Branco. Feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing to help the channel out. A special thanks to all my dear supporters, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Until then, take care. Adeus. Bye bye!